Hello there, welcome to Weather Studio Live. It's 1 p.m. It's Tuesday, the 9th of July, and I'm Clare and
And I'm Alex Deakin. Yes, we are broadcasting live from the heart of all things meteorological in the UK at the Met Office. Yes, it's 1 o'clock, it's Tuesday, we are live and we want your questions. Coming up in today's show, we've got some wild weather across Europe, pictures of storms, and also across the United States, some very lively weather from the very far northwest to the very far southeast. We'll also be looking at the UK weather because things have been quite benign across the UK of late, but they're about to get ramped up a little bit. Thunderstorms in the forecast for Wednesday and Thursday in particular. We'll have a look at maybe some settling down of the weather again into the weekend.
Lovely. So send in your comments and your questions. As Alex says, we are live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for all your questions last week. Let's just go to one of those now. Victoria Waller from Facebook. Does the jet stream affect the temperature of the sea and other water on Earth? Well, yes, it does. And in fact, we'll be looking at it in a bit more detail. We'll be looking at the jet stream, but certainly heat affects land as well as sea. And it's really when we get blocking patterns in the upper atmosphere that we get synoptic patterns which are blocked as well. So when you get high pressure over an area and you get a lot of sunshine, then obviously the sea surface temperature will go up. And in fact, sea surface temperatures across the Gulf of Mexico are very high at the moment. More about that in a moment.
Jet stream, Gulf Stream often get confused, don't they? The Gulf Stream is a bit like the jet stream, but in water form across the Atlantic. So they are two separate things.
And it's governed by temperature. It's the temperature difference between cold and hot, which gives the shape, the strength, and the position. What's this, Alex?
This is a beautiful scene in Latvia taken last week. However, this is the before shot. I'm going to show you the after shot now, which is pretty devastating. A tornado ripped through this little farm in Latvia, and there were a lot of thunderstorms and tornadoes, some reported in Riga as well during the course of the weekend. Just incredible scenes there, utter devastation, and you can just see how localized it was as well. That is what a tornado can do. This was in Latvia. Again, there's that before shot and the after shot. That was at the weekend. More recently, just this morning, images coming in from Spain from last night of torrential rain. This was flooding in a town just south of the Pyrenees, just northwest of Zaragoza. Reports of around about 100 millimeters of rain falling in just a couple of hours, all washing down the mountains, washing down the hills and the streets, not just rivers, but torrents, creating havoc. There have been some fatalities, just terrible scenes coming out of Spain this morning from the thunderstorms. Things calming down a little bit there now, but there have been some big storms. I know Laura Gilchrist, one of the meteorologists upstairs, was reporting one of her friends was out in Ibiza saying there's some big storms over there at the moment. So Laura Ellen, sorry, I called her Gilchrist there.
So it's a maiden name.
That was it was a maiden name, Laura Ellen. So forgive me if I don't correct that. But yeah, huge storms across Spain recently as well.
Now there's a dense smoke advisory out at the moment in Alaska, thousands of miles away from here, but they have had huge problems with heat, and obviously one knock-on effect of that, one impact of that, forest fires. They get forest fires every year, but certainly this year has been really intense because of the heat, and yes, people are suffering because of really poor air quality.
It's been really bad, hasn't it? And it's not just, it's been, the last few months have been some remarkable weather.
They've noticed that the ice retreat, which happens every spring, has been 2 months earlier, in March rather than May. Record-breaking heat right now, but last month was the driest June on record. In fact, last week we saw some records broken as well, didn't we, Alex?
Yeah.
Across particularly the southern part of Alaska. It's all down to a huge area of high pressure, which they're calling a heat dome, and this intense heat dome has allowed the temperature to rise and rise and rise, almost like a convection oven, really.
4th of July, I mean, it's obviously a big day in the States anyway, but actually, record-breaking heat set on the 4th. These numbers are obviously in Fahrenheit, but one example there, Anchorage, the all-time record. And in the US, they do daytime records, a lot of daytime records, when we tend not to look at those too seriously in this part of the world. But these are all-time records going. Anchorage there, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The previous record, 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So it didn't just beat their record by a little bit, 5 Fahrenheit, so that's 2.5 Celsius over the all-time record there at Anchorage. And many places recording temperatures, well above average. We were talking last week, weren't we, about the heat in France maybe being 15, possibly 20 degrees above average. These are similar, if not higher than
and in fact, the 4th of July was Independence Day. Some fireworks displays were cancelled because of the heat and because obviously the risk of fire. And this is this was earlier today, and you can see this is smoke across the southern part.
The satellite picture of Alaska.
Yeah, so some clear skies here. We've got the smoke across the south associated with those forest fires, and then this here is mist, and then right up there, still the ice. The ice is still there further north across the Arctic Circle. Now the heat will slowly wane over the next few days, but that big puddle will just push its way further northwestwards.
Let's have a look at that puddle, shall we? Let's have a look at that puddle of heat across the United States.
You can see where that high is there, and let's just move it around a bit. Oh yeah, there we go.
That's the little puddle of heat sitting across Alaska, as it has been for a while now.
Yeah.
Now you said it's going to ease a little bit over the next few days, but it's going to stay well above average.
Temperature is going to be above average, and then look at the hues here. Look at the deep reds here. Arizona reporting a heat wave, and much of southern and central states as well. And as we said, this affects the sea surface temperatures as well as the land temperatures, doesn't it?
Yep, so extreme warmth across the far northwest, a lot of heat in Arizona, but we're really now, the next few days, focusing a little further south across the United States and looking at the pressure pattern. Well, it doesn't look too impressive there, does it, by Thursday? But actually, if we run through the sequence, just a little feature here, little area of low pressure that's developing and potentially developing into something, well, pretty lively. This is the rainfall. Now, this is just one computer model suggesting there's going to be some very heavy rain along that coast of the Gulf of Mexico. This is just, I say, one possible solution. There's quite a bit of uncertainty about the development of this area of low pressure, and it may turn into a fully blown storm. Could become a hurricane. Could.
Which is really interesting, because most tropical depressions which spawn and develop into hurricanes tend to start their life across more eastern parts of the tropical Atlantic, even across the west coast of Africa. So this is very interesting. This was a deep area of low pressure across Georgia, which then tracked across towards the Gulf of Mexico. Sea surface temperature there at the moment 29, 30 degrees Celsius, so well above the threshold which allows these thunderstorms and these hurricanes to be fueled. 27 degrees is what you need really in terms of sea surface temperature, 3 degrees above that, and quite unusual really. And yes, we're keeping a keen eye on this. If you are concerned about this storm, maybe have family living over there, worried about the track, maybe heading over there, check out the National Hurricane Center website. It's got lots of information on there. Currently they're saying yes, it is going to develop. We are expecting some potentially very, very heavy rainfall associated with it, particularly for the eastern and northern Gulf states. But at this moment, it's too early to determine the magnitude of this storm, the location of the storm, or how strong the winds will be, or associated storm surge. Obviously, we'll keep you posted here on our social media channels as well.
The unusual of it, that's one of the reasons why there's so much uncertainty, because it's so unusual to be forming really here from just an area of low pressure drifting out into the Gulf of Mexico, whereas Claire says that the Gulf of Mexico sea temperatures are so high at the moment. That's what's going to spin it up, but there's a lot of uncertainty about the position of the track, but whether it actually becomes a hurricane or not, that's the big question mark. But actually, whether it does or not is kind of irrelevant, because it's still going to produce an awful lot of heavy rain along this area. New Orleans is likely to be affected. This is the very latest from NOAA, and as Claire says again, keep up to date with the National Weather Service in the US. They have all the information about these storms. They keep us informed. We work closely with them, but they're the real source. So go to them if you do have any concerns or questions.
Thank you very much for sending your comments and your questions in, and there's quite a few coming in here. One from Aidan Fryer. Heard that the UK will be getting 4 heat waves this summer. Any truth in that? One starting this weekend. I know I've heard a little bit of a buzzword around heat wave this weekend. We're not expecting any heat wave conditions, however, and Alex will be talking more about this in a moment. It looks like things are settling down and temperatures will eventually be recovering. However, over the next few days, it looks a little bit more uncertain. So watch this space, and yes, keep an eye on this program for the next 10-15 minutes. We'll be talking more about that. Is the weather we're having now our summer, or can we expect bigger and better in the southwest for August? What's happening in August in the southwest? Are you getting married? Are you having a party? Well, yes, the summer starts, meteorological summer starts on the 1st of June. We've had some pretty sort of variable weather, from the wet weather in June to the heat wave conditions, and now pretty much, well, well. Yeah, a bit of everything. So yes, the summer started last month and we're halfway through, so there's a lot to play for. And currently, yes, things look like they will be settling down, but I'm not going to put any money on August just yet. Alex, any other questions?
Yeah, lots of questions coming in. Thank you for keeping those coming. Sarah Pearl Jewel Brenton on Facebook. Is there a link between tides and the wind? Well, the tides are dictated by the moon, basically, but the size of the waves that get whipped up, well, they can be determined by a couple of things, swell, but also wind. So
and also, yeah, you can have local winds. If you have a really great tidal range, temperatures can cool very quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, yeah,
tide can affect the wind in some ways as well. So they are kind of linked, but the default tides are not directly affected by the winds, just the size of the waves at any one time. Why do we not get large hail and thunderstorms like in the USA? Well, we do get some large hailstorms, but it's just the amount of energy available. It's just that their land mass is so much bigger and everything's just bigger over there. The big storms that they get created by the Rockies and the Gulf, it's just the way that their land mass is set up. They get the warmth and the moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, then they get the elevation from the Rockies, and it's just all a bit bigger.
It's deep convection, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's deepest.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll be talking more about that in a moment,
temperatures,
actually.
more energy, that kind of things as well. Great questions. Thank you very much. Keep them coming in. We'll try and answer as many as we can. Let's take a look at the UK weather over the next few days, because we are going to get some thunderstorms. There could be some hail across the UK. What's going on? Well, over in the US, we talked about that storm developing, and the jet stream's well to the north, actually, up right across the across Newfoundland, coming out of here. But it is pepping up a little bit, the jet stream. So, as I said, the UK weather's been a little bit benign, but over the next couple of days, just notice this jet just kind of pepping up a little bit, drifting towards the UK, and that's what's changing our weather patterns. So we've had high pressure in control for the early part of the week, but now things have taken over, particularly just to the north of the jet. That's where low pressure is, and that's why at the moment we kind of have a north-south split with the weather, and there'll be plenty of showers coming in for the next couple of days. But by Thursday, low pressure is pretty much in control. Thursday is when we're going to see showers more widely across the country. Let's look at tomorrow, though, first of all, because there will be some showers developing tomorrow. So tomorrow is still a bit of a north-south split, but the showers mostly focus further north. You can see some bright colours there, some heavier ones. It's particularly here across Aberdeenshire down towards the borders of Scotland in the afternoon, where we could see some thunderstorms. And so fresh off the press this morning, the Met Office have issued a thunderstorm warning for Wednesday through the afternoon. Torrential rain, 20 millimetres in an hour, maybe 30 millimetres an hour, 30 to 40 millimetres in 3 hours, that kind of range of rainfall. It's a summer thunderstorm event, so it's going to be hit and miss. Not everywhere in this warning zone is going to see them, but they could cause some problems where we do see them. And we're not done there, because as I said, actually on Thursday, the risk becomes more widespread. As we go through the evening and overnight, well, still a lot of showers across the north. Again, some of them could be on the heavy side, whereas further south it's largely dry. But as we go into Thursday, notice there's more cloud across the south. There will be a few more showers, possibly in the London area. But further north, that's where we've, again, by the afternoon, that heat combining with the humidity, triggering some thunderstorms. And this time, Thursday's warning is all the way from Lincolnshire up to Caithness and Sutherland. That is in that zone where we're likely to see big thunderstorms. Some hail is possible, but again, it's more likely. The biggest problem will be the amount of rain falling. And we could see 30 millimetres of rain in an hour. Again, maybe 50 millimetres in 3 hours. Those kind of amounts of rainfall could cause some local effects, but it will be fairly localised. There will be places, many places in this yellow zone that don't see those thunderstorms. It is the nature of the beast, really, with summer thunderstorms. It won't be everywhere, but in that zone, there could be some travel disruption, maybe power outages, the possibility of local flooding. And it is a thunderstorm warning, but actually it's a new kind of warning, a thunderstorm warning. Only introduced last year. We introduced a thunderstorm warning and a lightning warning. What's the difference between the two, Claire?
Well, we had to scratch our heads for a moment, didn't we, and ask the chief forecaster, Dan Shurey. Well, he just illuminated me on what the difference is. And there are subtle differences, but quite important differences, and it's all to do with impacts. So a thunderstorm warning covers all storm elements. So we've got the gusty winds, the squally winds, we've got torrential amount of rain, hail as well, which can cause a flooding, and obviously the lightning associated with it as well. Most of the thunderstorms that we see in the UK happen in the summer. That's when we get the deepest convection. That's when we get huge amounts of humidity and also heat over the land, which causes these in situ thunderstorms like we will be seeing over the next 48 hours or so. And the other interesting element to a thunderstorm warning, they tend to be slow moving. So you get the heavy rain, you can get it for quite a while. Again, associated with some surface water impacts. Lightning, on the other hand, has slightly different impacts. Can happen all year round. Thunderstorms can as well, but this is more associated with winter troughs coming in after a weather system. So they tend to be faster moving, particularly thunderstorms in the summer. So you don't get that really intense rain for a long period of time, but you can get flashes of lightning here, there and everywhere. And the impacts tend to be power outages, obviously those power lines, the highest point on the land, and obviously vulnerable to lightning strikes and also risk of life. You do not want to be in anywhere near a lightning strike at all. So there are subtle differences. Currently, we've got thunderstorm warnings in force. We've had both this season so far. And yes, watch your space. Obviously, the chief forecaster makes that decision. And
just to clarify, you do get lightning with thunderstorms and thunderstorms. You do get thunder with lightning. The two are concurrent. But the subtle difference in the warnings is that lightning warnings more likely to be through the year, and it's faster moving things, and it's that lightning that bringing the risk to life. Slow moving thunderstorms, a lot of heavy rainfall in a short space of time. You do get lightning with them, and you get torrential downpours, bigger hail, and the gusty winds as well.
Subtle.
So it's a subtle difference.
Yeah, it's the devil's in the detail.
Worth flagging.
That's why we've got a chief forecaster up there saying, yeah, it's that one today.
Quiz time.
Oh,
quiz time. We've got a little tune.
Obviously, it's that time of year, isn't it?
For quiz.
No.
It's been, yes, Wimbledon. So far, haven't had any thunderstorms, any showers.
Where's that new roof?
Well, it has been used.
Oh, has it?
Yes, it has. Court number 1, the roof has been used a number of times because of light. Because it's been getting a bit gloomy of the evenings, and so they use it so the play can continue into the evening if the game's not finished. So it has been used, but not to do with the weather. Is light to do with the weather? Yes, it kind of is, but not in the same way. That wasn't why they built it. They built it to protect from the showers, of which there have been very few. Quick quiz. Can you name the sunniest year for Wimbledon?
Would be 2006, I think.
Okay, and when was what was the highest temperature recorded?
Probably 34 degrees on 2006.
Okay, so focusing a lot 2006.
Yeah, no, 2003. I'm going to say 2003.
Right,
yes,
and the wettest year?
Wettest year 2012.
Okay, you have a guess at home. Of course, now, the statisticians will be fuming because Wimbledon's moved recently. It's a week, even 2 weeks later. It used to be the last week. I'm not sure why they moved it. I think it's to give a grass court season a bit longer and more of a gap between the French Open and Wimbledon, maybe to do with that. Anyway, we're here to talk about the weather, not the events program across the UK. But I think Wimbledon has been moved. I know Wimbledon's been moved, which makes a mess of the stats, doesn't it? Because it means you're not comparing like with like. You can imagine Mark McCarthy, our stats expert, is furious about.
Are you going to reveal this, or?
Well, I thought I'd let people look. You have some questions, you can have some answers. If anyone answering the questions.
Hello to Daniel Craig on Facebook.
The Daniel Craig.
The Daniel Craig. My son asked me the other day, if electric and water don't mix, why do we get rain with thunder and lightning? I can answer. Can you? Well, obviously, lightning associated with cumulonimbus clouds, and it's almost like static electricity, and it's the charge which builds between the lower part of the cloud and the upper part of the cloud, or the cloud and the ground, which creates that charge, and the friction caused by hail. It's just like basically the rubbing together, like I would with Alex on his birthday with a balloon on his head, or something like that. That's a very, very simple explanation. So yes, it is associated with thunderstorms. Please, no, we do not mix it. It's nothing to do with.
It's a good question.
It is a good question.
Electricity and water do mix with violent and dangerous effects, which is kind of what that would have been my. So yeah, if you do mix, you have terrible results, and that can be what happens in a thunderstorm. But great question, Daniel. I hope you can explain
some concerns over the thunderstorms as well. Sarah Evans on Twitter saying, should I leave work now? The Met Office? I think she's saying about the thunderstorms. Well, it depends where you are and what day. So maybe more details about that. But there doesn't seem to be very much of a risk today. What's the weather in Port Talbot, Wales? Well, when? Today. That is Transport for Wales sent us a YouTube message.
Aww,
that's nice. It's fine. Actually, you're going to get away with it. Actually,
South Wales, Southwest England, place to be for the next few days. Good question from Dan Ellis Jones, YouTube. England Australia cricket match tomorrow, of course. Thursday, of course.
Oh,
Edgbaston.
Where's that? Where's Edgbaston? Midlands?
Honestly, Birmingham.
Birmingham,
right.
thank you.
As a Brit living in Perth, Australia, I'm hoping that it'll stay dry enough for us to get the Aussies. Well, let's hope we get the Aussies as well. But actually, there could be some showers around and maybe some interruptions to play. I don't think it'll be a washout. There will be a game, but there may be some interruptions to play. It'll be interesting.
Nikki Clark, I read that we are going to get a hot plume from Africa. Is that right? Well, we were talking about that this morning, weren't we?
That was the 4 heat waves thing.
Yeah.
The stories. Yeah,
Bubbles.
Yes,
what was it?
Yes.
A bubble became something else.
A bulge, I think.
A bulge.
African bulge coming up. There's no truth in it whatsoever. It's nonsense. However, this isn't nonsense.
Okay, so sunniest year. Come on, sunniest year, Mr.
Sunniest year. It was 1993.
I don't remember.
52 hours before your time.
Yes.
You were a babe in arms.
Yes, I was.
Highest temperature, you were a degree and a half out. That was from 2015. Yeah. And the wettest year was 91.
Random years for me. I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well done if you got that right at home.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
But yes, there is a chance of a few showers over the next couple of days. But only really a chance. And actually, for the finals at the weekend, the weather looks pretty good. Saturday and Sunday also.
And in fact, Craig Wood on YouTube saying, you mentioned thunderstorms. Yes, we did, and we'll be talking about them more in a moment. Will London be getting any of those? Well, they're not in the warning area either on Wednesday or even on Thursday. On Thursday, that warning area extends from Thurso down to just north of the Wash. However, we can't rule them out completely. Thunderstorms can be hit and miss. You may just about see a shower, but that's where we're most concerned of the greatest impacts, and that's obviously a lot of surface water on the roads, some gusty winds associated with them, and also that lightning. Alex, what's next?
Excellent. Let's take a look at the UK forecast because things are settling down a little bit after those thunderstorms. Look at this. High pressure is moving in. Let's show the jet stream because let's just go back to the start. Friday, the jet's still pretty active across the UK. If we just zoom in a little bit. So there's still a likelihood of some showers, particularly across the east, and 1 or 2 of them could be on the heavy side. But look at this. Through the weekend, the main focus for the jet just pushes further north up towards Iceland. And this is an upper ridge. We call this an upper ridge. So it's in these troughs that you get low pressure systems, and in these upper ridges, well, that's where you get high pressure. So the pressure is rising through the weekend, and for many places it's going to be dry through the weekend, and so it'll get a bit warmer. Will it be sunny? Well, that's an interesting question, because let's go back a little bit and put the cloud on and show the next few days, because the problem with this area of high pressure is it moves in. The winds will be coming in around it like this and just drifting a lot of cloud down the eastern side. So particularly on Saturday, those eastern coasts could stay rather grey, and even into Sunday, some of those coasts in the east looking fairly cloudy as well. Now, most places are going to be dry, but yeah, with the high pressure in this kind of position, the sunniest skies will always be in the west, so Wales, southwest England, and well, hopefully as the high moves in, the east coast will turn a bit brighter through the weekend, but it could be, because the North Sea's never particularly warm.
The sea surface temperatures again.
Off the sea, it could be quite cool if it's cloudy on those eastern coasts.
What temperatures there at the moment? Around 13, 14, I'd say.
In the sea, yeah.
So that's
whereas it's
parky,
15, 16, 17 down across the south.
And also with onshore breeze, you're going to get that, aren't you?
Yes, but basically it's high pressure in control for a good part of the next few days into the early part of next week. So yes, the weather is settling down a little bit,
which is nice. It
doesn't look particularly hot, especially temperatures more likely to get into the low to mid 20s once more, back up above average. And we'll have more on the outlook beyond that. Is that high pressure going to last in the 10-day trend tomorrow? Aidan's doing it tomorrow.
Amanda Victoria, thank you very much for your message. YouTube weather predictions for the Saturday British Grand Prix.
Oh, is the Grand Prix?
Is that Silverstone?
Yeah, Silverstone.
Oh, okay. We should.
Looks fine. Yeah, looks fine. Dry, fine, sunny. Take your sunscreen.
Enjoy.
Saturday could be a bit cloudy for qualifying, but Sunday, if you're going, you'll need the sun cream because the UV levels are high. Pollen levels probably going to be high as well. So if you're a sufferer from hay fever, you need that. But the weather looks pretty good for that. Looks okay for the Cricket World Cup final as well on Sunday. And
I'm in Sheffield for my mum's birthday.
Oh,
fine,
fantastic.
Lovely.
Wow, yeah.
Sun always shines in Sheffield.
Sun always shines in Sheffield. Is that
Who's doing the 10-day trend this week?
Aidan McGivern is doing the 10-day trend.
Will be there doing the 10-day trend, obviously beyond the weekend. Kids are breaking up now, so very important information there. Any more questions and comments before we go, Alex?
Derek Giles on Facebook, why do we get cloud with high pressure? I talked about this a little bit last week, don't you? The high pressure is everyone does this. All meteorology is high pressure. That's why it's high, because the air is descending. But you can get an area of cloud just trapped in that. So the air's risen a little bit, created the cloud, and it just kind of gets trapped. Sometimes in the summer, you get the top meeting the bottom of the cloud, it goes through it because the air descends through it and the cloud melts away. But that you can often just get a little bit of moisture trapped under that area of high pressure, and it tends to stick around on what we call the inversion. But that is a good question.
Damien
high pressures
Gray.
don't always mean sunshine.
Damien Gray on YouTube, what will the UV levels be like this weekend? Well, as Alex said, likely to be, there we go.
There you go. High 6 or 7 probably across the south, 5 or 6 across the north. This time of year, it's not. People always get confused. They think it's to do with the temperatures. Nothing to do with the temperatures. It's the time of year. This is pretty much the peak time of year. We're just coming off the back of it actually with the peak of around the 21st of June. But the sun is very strong at this time of year. It's much stronger now than it will be the next bank holiday, for example, at the end of August. So yes, you will need the sunscreen on, particularly between the hours of 11 and 3. Right. More advice on that on the Met Office website.
Now, before we go, have you listened to the Mostly Weather podcast, which got published last week? It's a fantastic one. It's all about what weather you see at 40,000 feet. And we interviewed a pilot. He's defence and also commercial pilot with 21,000 hours of flying clocked up over 40 years. And it's a fascinating insight about what they see in that cockpit as they're flying from one place to another, landing and taking off as well, including things like some Elmo's fire. So a really interesting conversation there.
Excellent. So that's the Mostly Weather podcast. Yes. The Weather Snap podcast.
Weather Snap is out on Thursday. Lots of good stuff going on there, including an update on the heat wave across Alaska. Hurricane Barry, maybe not.
Oh yeah. If that storm becomes a hurricane, it will be Barry.
And everything else going on around the world, and of course in the UK as well.
So yes, go to your podcast provider, search for Met Office, you'll find those podcasts available there. Please make sure you're following us on social media as well. We update the warnings on the website through our app, but of course on Twitter you get the very latest as well. Thank you very much. Give us some suggestions. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching it on YouTube or on Facebook. Keep your questions coming in, even if you're not watching it live, because we do go through them. We answer some of them at the start of next week's programme. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. We will see you next week.